Yo, welcome Flyffers. So today we want to take a look at the Ringmaster, to be more specific at the Fullsupport Ringmaster. And this is probably the most requested guide over the last weeks. I basically got daily requests to do this guide, so here it is finally. And if you're still more into an AoE Ringmaster, I already have a guide uploaded on this, so make sure to watch this one. And before we starting, I did notice that only 80% of my viewers are subscribed to the channel. So let's make a deal. You watch this video all the way till the end, and I'm sure I earned your subscription by then. But let's get right started. We are taking a look at what kind of items, skills, weapons, all this kind of stuff the Ringmaster needs to succeed. But first, if you want to become a Ringmaster, you need to be level 15 and do a job change and become an assist. There will be guides on all the different job changes that are available, but there will be in a separate topic here. Once you are level 60, you are able to turn into a Ringmaster, and the Ringmaster is using a huge ass stick to cast some kind of magic, but it is basically the supporter of Flyff Universe, and it's having a lot of buffs, benefits for other classes and stuff like this, so which makes it an overall great option, and it does have a lot of healing abilities and debuffs, something like this. So it's pretty great. And probably one of the most popular classes as well. Now let's take a look which is important. All your spells, buffs and whatever are based and scaled on intelligence. This means every 20 intelligence that you have more on your character will make every buff that you cast stronger. So it's not like it used to be on PC Flyff, that you're having like just some noob Ringmaster to give buffs to you or anything like this. You do want to have a really well geared Ringmaster with high intelligence. And as we already said, you are casting spells only, basically, which means cast time benefits you a lot because it will result in you casting those spells faster. And we said intelligence is basically what we're looking for. It will make us stronger, so our build is logically full intelligence only. And right here, some people might disagree and say, oh, you might need a bit of stamina for when an aggro mob, or like a red mob that is killing, that is as soon as on sight, it will start to attack you and probably one-shot you if you're full int. As this is true, but we are having an 8-man level party system now with Flyff Universe. And if you're communicating well with your party, you will basically never get killed by an aggro this way, so I do recommend going full intelligence here and using every bit of intelligence to improve your buffs and your healing. This means you will have at level 60 and even at level 90, you will have lower mines of health that actually are no good for anything and you will probably die immediately. But on the other hand, you will have, with all the intelligence, you do have a really decent amount of MP going, which will result in you needing less mana potions and stuff like that, and you don't even need a refresher hold actually to support well. You can do it just fine with NPC stuff. So at level 45, you're going to get your first set, and you do want to farm this, as this is important. Usually if you're leveling as a full support with other members, they will give this set to you because they benefit from it as well. And the reason why is that it has MP consumption. This means you need less MP for activating your spells, and it has intelligence that we said is good, and cast time, which will result in you casting those spells faster. And at level 90, you will be able to switch to a set that has basically kind of the same stats, but have one huge advantage, the healing plus 10% effect, and this is going to be really, really good. You do not need high upgrades on sets or basically on anything on a Ringmaster. You can go for it, but on level 105, you will hit the final full support set with the necklace. And I do recommend saving all your cash until 105 and then go full man mode on the set. Now, if you're not statting any stamina at all, I do recommend going MP into your suit. And if you're statting a bit of stamina to be more safe versus aggros, it would also make sense to go with a HP percent cards right here into your piercing. This is based on player preference. Now for the weapons, we already said cast time is good, Healing is good. So at level 45, you can go with a stick of Rory Torrent that already has 5% healing and a bit of increased MP costs right here. And then the historic stick at level 75 is really good. You do not need upgrades because your attack doesn't really matter, but I would definitely try to get a hold on this stick. It will result in you needing less MP potions, and the cast time, 15 cast time, is way better than healing plus 5%. But I would keep this stick into a backhand because it might come in handy later if you actually need a high healing and you're able to reach a certain cast break just without this cast here. So reset int, we are going int rings, we are full man mode. Then Mental Necklace, of course. If we want to be a bit more tanky, we can even go for a Gore Necklace, but I do recommend Mental Necklace so you don't have to worry about your HP, mana management that much. There's no kind of earrings that do benefit our playstyle, so going from a plug early on is fine. You can even stay on a plug, it doesn't matter as much, because usually if you're playing correctly, you're never getting hit anyways. But you can go for speedos if you have the funds, just to add some melee block to maybe survive a lucky hit by an aggro if you didn't pay attention. Now let's come to the skills. This is basically what it's all about. And you're a support, you basically want all the buffs that are possible. And I don't want to go over all of them since they're basically logic because you want all. But I want to mention that when you're starting to buff someone, always buff Mental Sign on yourself first before you buff people, because this gives exactly 20 int. So every other buff that you buff after buffing Mental Sign to yourself will have one higher increased stat. So this is definitely must have on yourself first. Now there's a new skill called Moonbeam, and this will put a damage over time effect onto the enemy and increase every damage that is done to this enemy by 8%. Which makes it a great support skill and giving you an early option, as this is already available at level 15, to be a supporter early on. Now, we talked about you being the supporter, and a real supporter, of course, needs to heal his allies. This is why you want to have heal max as fast as possible, so you can ensure to have all of your mates at a healthy HP total and they're not dying. I didn't cover the resurrection skill here, but sometimes people do die, and there is a skill for this to get people up again and revive them. And I do recommend putting it at like the lowest amount of points that are possible, just so you can revive the person. Because if you level it higher, all it will do is will revive the person with like a higher health amount, and this doesn't really matter, because after you revive them, you can just heal them all the way up, so that's fine. Now, once you are a Ringmaster, you have more options available, and those are again buffs, as Protect will give you defense, Spirit Fortune will give you additional damage, it scales really well, and then we are at the best support skill that currently is available in the game, that is Jewlery T-Bread, and it will give you an astonishing attack plus 10%, all kinds of utility right here, and intelligence increases the attack amount. Every 20 intelligence increases the attack amount by 0.5%. So this spell with a really good Ringmaster does make a difference on your damage by far. And then there's also a spell that comes available as a Ringmaster that's called the Holy Cross, and it requires you to actively target a mob, cast it on them, and then your mates will deal twice as much damage to the mob for one attack. So this also comes really in handy. Now, this is what the skill tree should look like. Moonbeam should be maxed early on as fast as possible, same as heal. And then you will try to go for the all the kind of buffs that you have. We are looking here at a level 90 build. I do recommend putting one less point that I did here into beef up, just to make sure that you have resurrection available. And as you progress on leveling, make sure to get beef up and cannonball maxed as well, so you're providing the most utility to your team. And after you have both of those maxed, try to go with the Holy Guard as well. And then you're all set, and you can basically distribute all the other points into heal rain, which will allow you to heal like a huge group of people, rather than the normal heal that you casted that only can heal one person. Now let's talk a bit about the playstyle, because the playstyle is a lot different compared to Flyff PC. You're not an AFK heal bot anymore, you actually have to do stuff. The duration of GT is only short, and this is like the strongest buff by far, so make sure all of your teammates always have this buff running and rebuff it on site. There's a new feature which will allow you to see all the buffs by opening the party window of the players, and this will be really useful to keep GT running all the time. And then of course you can also use this party window to check if someone is low health, run through them and give them a heal. But overall, you are more of a damage supporter. This means if one of your mates decides to attack a mob, you can go with the moonbeam onto this mob, which will result on the dot and the incoming damage increase for your mate. And you can even follow this up with a holy cross, so your mate does twice as much damage. This is pretty good. And when we are talking about being in the need of healing high amounts of HP over time, so maybe if you're giant hunting or anything like this, make sure to have heal all the way in your action slot and use an Activision for healing purposes. If this is too much for your MP potions to handle, do make sure to have a refresh out as well, but I think you can do it just fine without it. It's just a convenience factor here. So, and again, we already reached the end of the video. I hope I earned your subscription by then. And if there are any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments, and make sure to like the video. Cheers!